This is where the cool podcast intro is supposed to go, but I forgot to finish it. Anyway, here's Scuffed as Fuck.
Hello, and welcome to the Scuffed as Fuck podcast, the only place where you know we've got good game feel, whatever the heck that means. I am your host, the guy that's stuck in the 90s, still wishing games played the same way, also known as the Cuba Guru, and I'm joined as always by my co host, Retro Koda.
What's up, y'all?
Hello. Koda, can I ask you a pressing question that's been on my mind lately?
Sure.
What makes a good game?
Uh, oh wow, we're jumping straight into it. Oh.
Well, no, so I've been thinking about this. I've definitely played my fair share of bad games in my time, and
Right.
the more and more that I really look into like the visual aspect of games and what makes me super satisfied in playing games, that's kind of been prompting my mind a little bit. So I think
I
it would be cool
understand
if
that.
we dove into that today.
So I I want to give my overall what makes a good game, and for me personally, what makes a good game. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I would say overall, what I feel like makes a very good game is and it does kind of transfer over into what I personally feel like for myself would be um like games that immerse you in the world. Like
Mm.
games that you can get lost in and spend hours upon hours playing without realizing it. But on top of that, it also has to have like good pacing to it because you can't have a game that's like super immersive, but like the story is going at a snail's pace, right? Eventually, you're
Right.
gonna get bored and start looking around and being like, "What can I do? What can I do?" Um, but it also has to have like the gameplay has to be intuitive, you know?
Hmm.
Like you have to be able to pick it up and be able to play it without having to like spend forever trying to figure out what you're doing. Um, and I would say a lot of that carries over to my own personal taste, but for my personal taste, it also has to have really good music, um,
Mm-hmm.
the visual detail. Uh, it doesn't have to be like 4K graphics, but I would say for me, like as long as the art style's pretty, as long as it feels very in tune with the game itself, like um for me, my first example that comes off the top of my head is Cyberpunk 2077. A lot of people give that game shit for how it came out initially, totally unfinished, but the world is so immersive. You can spend forever getting lost in Night City. The gameplay, even though it's your standard looter shooter in a sense, um, it flows. The music of the game fits the vibe, and the cyberpunkness of the city and the details and everything, it all just combines together, and that is like a perfect game for me.
Okay. Okay. Now, I know I made the game feel joke at the beginning, but is that kind of what you mean? So when I say that, I think that kind of means whenever you play a game, there's like a brain itch that it's scratching whenever you play it. So like the
Oh,
movement, the hit
100%.
impacts, the sound effects, those all make the
Oh,
game feel
100%.
really good and immersive.
100%. That is exactly what I mean. The game feel is big for me.
Okay, good, good. Now
What
that's
about
cool. I've
yourself?
never I've never played Cyberpunk, but it sounds like I should try it.
Absolutely. It's got some very rich story to it. There's so many branching pathways. Like it is an action RPG, but it you have so many different characters that you can make friends with. Like On the base game alone, there's 5 different endings, plus if you play the Phantom Liberty DLC, not only do you get to add 2 more people to the roster of, uh, like, people you can have relationships with, and grow bonds with, but you also get 2 additional endings that also tie into 2 more additional endings for the base game. Like, the amount of customizability and the amount of story pathways that you can go down make it a very fun game. I love it so much.
Okay. Yeah, I could get way into that. I like the sound of that. I think for me, the number one thing that a game has to have is clear and responsive controls. So like where I think this excels the most is in platformers, just because I'm a big platformer guy and I have a lot of experience in that, I guess you could say. But if you can't play your game, what's the point? You know, I mean, if you play a game and it's like
Sure.
I tried to jump, but there's like a input delay, that sucks a
Yeah.
lot.
No,
And
I
I think
definitely understand that.
yeah, I think it's interesting because back in the 80s and 90s when Mario was starting to become a big thing in households, game designers and players of alike, this was like almost a philosophy back in the day. They
Mhm.
would um they would kind of analyze Mario's jump height and hang time and the how well a game did correlated a lot with that aspect of the control. So like they would look at Crash Bandicoot or they would look at like Sonic, and there's obviously since then been a lot of different varying examples, whether it's like more realistic or more cartoony. But back in the day, that was really like a standard for people to follow.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show how tight knit Nintendo was able to get that for other people to follow suit with that so much.
That is kinda crazy because I didn't even think about that. Like, given that I wasn't really a Nintendo kid, it's not really in my repertoire, but at the same time, like, it is kinda crazy how you had to be so on point for those games in order for it to make or break it, because you could wind up there's probably hundreds of platformers out there from that era that didn't make it past the years that they were released just because they didn't have that timing nailed down.
Yeah.
So you're right. The jump height and how, responsive the gameplay is, that does take a very big uh toll on games too. Like Shovel Knight.
Hmm.
Shovel Knight's a very good example of that, where it's like it being a platformer and everything. I love it for the once again the art style and the art
Oh
direction of
yeah,
it, but the
absolutely.
the mechanics and the platforming of it just feels so um and ends up being user error when you die, but it's very very responsive.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah, and another one on my list. So I want to ask you this, Coda. How important is challenge to you in video games?
you know um as I get older, I like the challenge. As a kid,
Okay.
I wanted it to be a straight from point A to point B, no challenge, play game on easy mode, just have fun playing it. As I've gotten older, I've started to like more challenging games. So like uh me just listing off games that I love. Liza P, Sekiro, uh like those Dark Souls-esque games or Souls-like games where it's like you have to be good.
Yeah, that's
Like,
actually
I
really
love the
funny.
challenge.
Um, that's so funny because Dark Souls is my example for this. I think what makes it good is that it asks something of the players. You know what I mean? So like it creates
Mhm.
that tension, but it feels rewarding whenever you overcome that. And
Oh,
Souls-like
absolutely.
games are super demanding, but I think games like that are so well designed in their enemy placement and the logic of the combat that
Mhm.
even though it's difficult, it can be done and it's super rewarding when it's done.
Oh, 100%.
Y-
I love those kinda games because, like, you get it helps once again, it's that game feel of scratching that itch, but in a different way of, like, you spend hours fighting a boss, like dying constantly when you've learned the mechanics and you know that you can do it and you're just slipping up, and then when you finally beat that one boss, you just are like, "Yes! Yes, I did it! Yes!" Like, it's so rewarding, and it makes the game so much better when you can actually be like, "Yeah, I beat that." Like, "Oh, you're still stuck on this boss? I beat it 2nd try."
Yeah, I feel that. Do you think that you mentioned pacing as one of your points. Do you think that acts
Mhm.
against that a little bit, or does it help it?
Uh, I don't know if I would necessarily say it acts against it because you're still like, I don't know, that's a very hard thing to say. Like, I don't know if that would necessarily take away from it because it's still part of the pacing. Like,
Yeah,
you're you're not having to, I mean, if you're going for like a no checkpoints kind of gameplay, then yeah, it sucks and you're having to walk this whole long way back. But in 90% of those cases, you're spawning right back at the boss room at the start. Like, you're
that's
not
true.
having to you're not having to go through the entire world all over again just to get to that one spot. So it's not really killing the pacing. If it was a case of like, let's say it's a let's say it's an open world game and your character is on one side of the planet, the other enemy is on the other side. And if you die, you have to travel all the way back and then make your slow trek back. Then maybe I would say yes, but in those cases, like, no, it's still part of the pacing. You're getting right back into the action. It's not causing you to like, it's not taking you out of it necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I think, when it comes to pacing, a good game knows when to really intensify its gameplay, when to relax, and then
Mhm.
when to introduce something new, you know? And I
Mhm.
think,
That's what makes
I
horror games. Go ahead.
well, no, I think that's where, Souls-like games excel because you have those moments of rest with the intensity.
100%. I would say that's also what makes horror games so popular as well because of that pacing. In a lot of cases, there's some that don't do it well, but um, in the case of like, let's say the Resident Evil games,
Mhm.
or like even Dead Space,
Oh,
like
yeah.
you have that very slow um, pacing that isn't hindering the game because it's ramping up as it goes on. You have those moments, especially back in the day. Nowadays, it's not nearly as scary as it was back in the day, but um, you get those high intensity moments of something just popping out around the corner, and then it kind of goes back down to a lull, and that the music in the background is also what causes the tension to build as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, and I think, because you have those moments of rest too, and it's not all just in your face, that adds to the horror element.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
It's just like in movies when they have the very, like, anxious sounding strings in the background as it
Yeah.
gets, the violin starts playing faster and faster as it, you know, the anxiety starts ramping up. Like, it very much helps that, pacing with the games too.
Yeah,
Music is
absolutely.
such a big part of it.
You know, that's true. I think, sound design and soundtracks in a game really do they add tremendous value to a game that I don't think a lot of people realize.
Mm. It's crazy how, like, some of these games that we would consider a 10 out of 10, a lot of people would probably drop it down to a 5 out of 10 or a 4 out of 10 if you were to take out the music that makes it so good. Like,
Yeah.
uh, like, uh, Clair Obscur,
Uh-huh.
I love Expedition 33. Um, so good. The music definitely helps make it a 10 out of 10. If the music was different in that game, I don't know if people would love the mechanics as much. Because those mechanics can be very frustrating, especially when you have to be pixel perfect with your parries.
Mhm.
Try to say that 5 times fast. Um, but when you have to be so perfect with your parrying and stuff, it makes that game very frustrating, but the music kinda helps balance it out, and it's such a once again, it's a very immersive world in it. So, it's like all of these things have to combine together to make it a very good game. Um, but music is a very big part of some of them. They would not have as high of a score if they didn't have the soundtrack that they did.
No, I agree, and I think the music too adds to something that you touched on in the beginning, the thematic impact of a game and how
Mhm,
immersive it is. But that's kind of what I wanted to transition into and ask you about that. So you did mention that being involved in
mhm,
a world and how the theme of it really pulls you into it and makes you feel involved.
mhm.
Um, do you have a good example of that? Because I have been thinking of I think that part of a game really separates it from being fun to being like special in my eyes.
My brain just broke. Repeat the question for me one more time.
Do you have a good example of a game that has like big thematic impact that makes it immersive?
Honestly, I would probably go back to, like, Cyberpunk.
Okay.
Cyberpunk's music and, the whole theme behind it is very immersive. Like, another good one for me would be, like, oh, you've thrown me into a situation where my brain is trying to remember these games.
That's okay.
Uh, that's a very good one. The as weird as it sounds, the Doom games,
Okay.
like, I, um, you get so immersed into the demon killing, especially in, like, Doom 2019 and or sorry, Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal and, the Dark Ages and stuff like that. The music, that metal, like, heavy metal rock music playing in the background just adds to the whole, like, rip and tear, and you're just like you get so into the zone, you don't realize you've completed 3 different levels just because you're jamming out and, like, the music just feels so hardcore. Like, it's those are 2 of my immediate thoughts of, like, I love this kind of music. This stuff actually, like, it it immerses you into the world.
Yeah, I think that's a good example. One that comes to my mind. Now, I'll preface this by saying I'm not really that big of a fan of these kind of games, but
Mm,
I think Undertale does this very well. So, like the idea of all of these player choices that you make, and there's like an emotionally charged way of going about the different characters that you come across. Again,
mhm.
not a huge fan of these games, but I think it does that very well.
Oh, 100%. I think there are a lot of I guess you would consider them RPGs where your choices matter for the player. Like, um, a lot of the themes and a lot of the overarching story and the music behind it during those moments of reflection or those moments of having to make quick decisions, like, it definitely makes them very, um, powerful. Undertale
Yeah,
is one that I didn't even think of, but, like, there are a lot of moments in those where, you know, the music, the immediate change after you make a decision is like, "Oh, I've chosen poorly," or, "Oh, no, this is, like, not a this is going to be a very sad moment." Like, it's a it you get enveloped into the game itself.
yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. I think Deltarune kind of dips into that a little bit more too. Um,
I haven't played Deltarune yet.
Me neither, but I've seen bits and pieces of it and just other people play it. It has,
Mhm.
you know, same universe and everything, so it has the same energy as Undertale.
Right. Trying to think of uh what about okay. So one that I know that I mentioned that I want to ask you about is like, are there any games that you could think of with a very strong narrative? Like, I know that I mentioned Cyberpunk and I keep harping on it because I really want to play it recently. It's been on the back of my brain. It's like an itch I need to scratch of at some point I'm gonna reinstall it and play it. But like, um, how big is the storytelling for you?
Hmm, that's a good question because I don't think it matters to me personally as much as it does for other people. You know, because I'm like you, I appreciate a game that you can just pick it up and you can plow through it. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, Mario 64 is my favorite game. There, that could not have a more simple plot.
That is very fair. Actually, you bring up Mario 64 and it just reminded me. I saw the other day a post that was like, how old were you when you realized that you're watching that game from the perspective of Bowser?
Yeah, because Lackey 2 has the camera, and that's, you know,
Yep.
that's one of Bowser's
Yep.
minions.
And every time, you fail or something, or like you get to an area that's locked, you hear Bowser's laugh. It's because he's watching the camera and laughing at the fact that you can't progress.
Yeah, it's so wild, right? Nintendo, you know, I don't know why. I think they've done this less these days, but like Mario 3 was a stage play because it had like
Mhm.
the curtain and like the set pieces that were bolted to the background. There were motifs of that very early on in Mario, and they don't really do it as much anymore.
Nope, they don't really do that anymore. It's kinda
No.
crazy.
But yeah, I don't I mean, don't get me wrong, I love very big story-driven games. I love the Fallout series. I love the Dark Souls series. You want to
Mhm.
talk about a game that has crazy lore that you have to really look for? It's Dark Souls. Like if you start to read the item descriptions and how all of this crap happens that you're coming across, it starts to get crazy and wild.
Another really good one for fluid mechanics and the heavy lore intense story, for stuff like that, Control. I One of these days I wanna do a full, episode on the Remedy verse and everything because love I love Sam Lake, and I love all of the stuff that he's been a part of from the Max Payne series, Quantum Break, Alan Wake, and Control, and now Control Resident, which is releasing, but Control is such a good game. Visually, the mechanics are very easy to pick up. And there's so many little pieces of like there are these documents that you can pick up all throughout the oldest house that expand the story of the game from just dealing with this enemy called the hiss and all this other
Mm.
stuff. Like it is it's so good whenever you get down into it because there's different little pieces of mail. Like they have an entire section in the oldest house called the dead letters, which is basically letters that people send off. Like, a little kid writes a letter to Santa, but doesn't send a an address to send it to.
Yeah.
That would basically be put into a section called dead letters. They're places that can't be returned to the people and can't be sent to wherever they're supposed to go. So there's an entire department in the oldest house called dead letters, which is they collect these letters that are um, they sound like they might be about a specific object of power, which is these things that are infused with whether it's a folklore tale or something like that, where it's like it gains this kind of supernatural power to it. And so they collect anything that might sound like that or might just sound like a crazy person going off the rails. Like there's a story about one of those old Felix the Cat clocks that the lady can't stop staring at, otherwise it gets angry, like, um, stuff like that. It's these little tiny pieces of information that just add to the whole overarching world building that just make it so immersive. You can get lost in that game just reading some of those pieces. It's so good. I love that series.
You said it was called Control?
Control. Yep.
Okay. And it's a part of the same realm as Max Payne?
Yeah. Well, so we'll get if we ever do an actual episode on it, we'll go fully into it. Max Payne is technically in the universe, but not in the universe.
Okay.
So Remedy has started to make um like a series of games that are all part of this Remedy connected universe, the RCU. Um, and so games like Alan Wake and Control, those games are in the universe itself. But you have these games that are uh, different IPs that aren't owned by Remedy anymore, such as Max Payne, which is owned by Rockstar, and Quantum Break, which is owned by Microsoft. However, they have characters in these games that are they're basically the characters from those IPs just with different names.
Mhm.
So, um Alan Wake, they have or specifically Alan Wake 2. I think in Alan Wake 1 they also mention it. I'd have to fully do my research on it again. But he writes these books called the Alex Casey novels. Alex Casey is a hard-boiled detective. And they have in Alan Wake 2, they have Sam Lake, who was the original facial model for Max Payne, um, as Alex Casey. He's the FBI detective that the whole entire novel of the Alex Casey books is written on.
Okay.
He is just Max Payne with a different name. Same voice, same face, you know. And then in Alan Wake 2, they also have uh the the man who played um Jack Joyce from Quantum Break. He plays a uh he plays a sheriff in Alan Wake 2 named Tim Breaker. When you add an E to the end of Tim, you get Time Breaker, Quantum Break. Jack Joyce is Tim Breaker. It's very yes, they're all part of the same connected universe, but they're not, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. And it's very it's so cool. I love it. I could spend an entire episode just talking about it.
Yeah, we should someday. I played the first Max Payne game a long time ago, and I really liked it, so I'd love to get into that.
It's so good, and they've got a remaster coming out at some point.
That's cool.
Sorry.
Koda No, no, that was good, that was good. I think that was a good example of, you mentioned immersion whenever talking about that game, and, I think that's cool. I think little nods like that to other games within games is, another cool concept.
Oh, yeah. It's always nice to have games that have even if it's just like in passing a character that looks like they could be from a different game and made by the same people. It's always cool to have those little instances.
Yeah,
Like it
totally.
just helps make the world feel so immersive. Like even in GTA 5. Sorry, I'm going to start rambling again. Even in GTA 5, there's a mission where you play as Trevor. And I only vaguely remember this because I haven't played GTA 5 since it came out, or maybe a couple years after the fact. But um, there's a mission where you end up killing the guy that you played as in The Lost and Damned from GTA 4.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't that in one of the first cutscenes with Trevor?
Yeah, one of the first cutscenes with Trevor, you end up killing the guy, and I don't remember his
Yeah.
name for the life of me, so I feel bad. But it's like it's so crazy to have such an immersive, like they're calling back characters from the previous games.
Yeah, I love that. Koda, another thing I wanted to ask you, how
Mhm.
much do you think a game should teach you versus let you figure out?
I feel like you need to have a very good balance of it. I actually have a very bad example of this now that you bring that up because I've been playing it
Ooh,
recently. So, there's a game that I was very excited for a while called Funko Fusion. Have you heard of this game?
no, what is it?
So, think Lego Dimensions, but with Funko Pop characters, okay?
Okay, you're losing me.
So, okay, so Lego Dimension,
No,
Lego
I know that. I
Dimensions.
just I have a university to Funko Pops.
You have an adversity to Funko Pops. Okay, so it's the same kind of game. You play as these Funko Pop characters, from different IPs. So you've got in the game, you've got Hot Fuzz, um, you've got Scott Pilgrim, you've got Battlestar Galactica, you even got the movie The Thing.
Mm.
Um, and you're just you're trying to save the Funko universe from evil Funko Pop guy. Uh, the main Funko Pop that they originally created, his name was Freddy, and apparently this guy is evil, but he's evil Freddy, so his name is Eddie, which is uh, I was so excited to play this game, but it gives you no instructions, no direction. There's a tiny little thing in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen that tells you your objective, but it doesn't tell you where you need to go. It doesn't tell you how to, you know, play the game, what your abilities do or anything. It's it's not good. Like it's okay. I'm starting to enjoy it more that now that I've gotten past that. But for a game that like, when you're so used to playing Lego games that give you like a hey, you need to do this here or like hey, go here. Like having no direction and just being like, "Okay, here you go. You're playing as a Funko Pop character. Figure it out on your own. Bye." It the game didn't do well. I think it got a 4 out of 10 or maybe a
Oh
2 out of 10
gosh.
from IGN. Like, the actual company that created it had to have massive layoffs after the failure of it. Now
Yeah.
they haven't been able to get games up off the ground. I think the company's called 1010 or something like that.
Okay.
But, yeah, it's
Yikes.
just yeah, when you make a game like that, you would expect them to give it a little bit more direction. But, I don't expect it to be full hand holding though either. That's why there's so many games that give you like they meme on it. They a good example of that is Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. Like within the first couple minutes, you get like 18 or 19 different uh like tutorial boxes, whatever they are. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. My brain just blanked, but it like the pop-ups that are like, "Hey, do this to do this."
Yeah.
And your character even is like, "Really? Another one?" Like it's very there's a very sweet spot of like not too much direction, but not so little that you're struggling to figure out what to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have a bad example, but I think a really good example is the Portal games. So like the
Oh
first
yeah.
Portal game, super strong in teaching without over explaining. You know, it was kind of like taught you one idea at a time and you
Mhm.
learned by doing rather than just reading those long tutorials. Um,
Mhm.
and then as the game kept going, the design of it kind of trusted you more to figure it out. So
Oh yeah.
I thought that was really cool. I think that scaffolding kind of lends itself to making you feel like you're making the right choices and making you feel like you've learned how to play this game without it being like, you need to press A to jump, you need to press this to shoot the portal. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. I think Portal and Portal 2 do a really good job of that.
Absolutely.
Um, I Portal 2 is one of my all-time favorites. That is in my, like, gaming hall of fame for me in my brain of the story's so immersive. Um, like I talked about earlier, those mechanics are very intuitive. They give you just enough instruction to know what to do, and then they kind of expect you to figure it out on your own. But
Mhm.
the difficulty level of those puzzles, like you said, ramp up as they go. So it makes it like you start off with the basic instructions of like, put portal here to go here. And then that's all you get. And then as you go on, you're making these like you're figuring out as you go, and it makes it feel rewarding of like, oh, they gave me a basic of like this is how this works, but I'm the one who figured out how to do all this.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And again, that feels very rewarding as a player, you know?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. That's a really good one. I love those ones.
Now, Portal, it's not in my top 10, but I do recognize it's such a really, really good game. Um, Koda, do you think
Mhm.
that nowadays, do you think indie games understand good game design better than AAA studios?
Oh,
At
in some
times,
cases, absolutely.
yeah.
In some cases, absolutely. There are games that I think from an indie standpoint, I've enjoyed more than I've enjoyed AAA games. Um,
Hmm.
there are I can't really think of any off the top of my head. Actually, no, I can. I can. Um, Another Crab's Treasure.
Okay.
Have you played this?
No, but I've seen it be played.
Ah, it's another Souls-like. It's very difficult. Uh, but I enjoy how difficult it is, but it it doesn't have the most, like, high tech of graphics, but the, um, the game feel of it is just so much better than some of the AAA games that I played, like, granted, they're in 2 very different realms, but I would put Another Crab's Treasure over something that's very cinematically beautiful and, like, fun to play of, like, one of the Assassin's Creed games. Um, and the
Mm.
Assassin's Creed games, as we know, are AAA games. They're very well made. They're very, um, like, immersive world building and all this other stuff. Those are another one that are high in my list of games that I love, but Another's Crab's Treasure, I would say I find more enjoyment playing that game despite it being made by an indie company than I do some of the Assassin's Creed games.
Interesting. Okay, and why do
Mhm.
you think that is?
I'm I think it's just because the game the game feel of it is so much more rewarding
Okay.
than like it doesn't have the prettiest of graphics, but the idea behind it, the story behind it, the fun that you have while you can pick up um random shells off of enemies that you kill, and they give you different stat bonuses and all these things. And it has a smoothness to it that despite the Assassin's Creed games having that smoothness to them, sometimes they feel a little bloated, like,
Mm,
and that
okay.
kinda takes you out of it.
Interesting. I agree. I think indie games they're more often willing to cut out what doesn't serve the game well, whereas
Mhm.
AAA titles will kind of, and I think it's a matter of trying to get that broader appeal or to get that like I need to make a game that's X amount of hours long, you know what I mean?
Right. Oh, 100%. Like, these people a lot of times are making it I mean, you could say that the AAA games are being made out of passion, but a lot
Yeah.
of these indie games end up being passion projects too, so they have, like, that made with love feel to them rather than a made to make money feel that some of the AAA games have.
Yeah, yeah, I can definitely resonate with that. Oh,
I
okay.
have I have one. I don't remember if it was an indie game, but I have one that actually fits the the immersive and dialogue driven stuff that we've been kind of talking about.
Okay.
Um, did you ever play the game Firewatch?
No, but I think I watched Markiplier play it.
Markiplier's the first one that I watched play it, and he's what made me fall in love with the game. So, for those of you listening, Firewatch is a first-person narrative adventure, kind of like a walking sim, basically. But there are there are some dialogue choices in it that you make, but it basically takes it's the whole story is based on this fire lookout gentleman, like a wild wildlife um why am I forgetting?
Park
Whatever.
Ranger?
Thank you,
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
word. I was like, "What's the guy from Yogi Bear?"
Ranger Smith.
Um, yes. Yeah, so it take you play as this park ranger, named Henry, who, he takes this job as a fire lookout guy in, like, the '80s or early '90s, and it's this whole story between him and his supervisor, Delilah, and this bond that they grow, and there are choices that you make in the game, in dialogue and in the story, and it decides how the story is going to go. But you're investigating different strange occurrences that are happening. There's a very like heavy focus on the character development, the story that gets told between them over their walkie talkies, and it's a very the graphics aren't cinematic like you would imagine like a movie like some games such as the Assassin's Creed or Final Fantasy, but um despite it not having the most amazing of graphics, it's such an atmospheric game and the world pulls you into it. It's so immersive and the story is just so it has so much emotional weight to it. It's such a good game. I love it.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of the design choices they've inspired me in some of the work that I've done just in my personal life.
Mhm.
The way that they handled like some of the promo items or I think they did like a wallpaper thing or somebody made
I
something
did.
based on the
Yeah.
game. And just like the layered vectors of trees and the high contrast visuals. Oh, it's so beautiful.
It's so beautiful. Honestly, sometimes I would consider that game more beautiful than, like, as I even said earlier, Clair Obscur. That's a very beautiful
Mm,
game, but
interesting.
it's I think it's because it's 2 very different art styles, but I can love them
Yeah.
both equally, but I think I love like you said, the vector trees and stuff like that. I think I love that kind of art style just a little bit more in my mind.
Yeah, I can understand that. It's definitely I think a style like that has a broader appeal than maybe a super hyper realistic visuals like Clair Obscur has.
Yeah. Very beautiful game. I need to play that again at some point.
Yeah, you should. Koda, I have one last question for you.
Okay, shoot.
Do you think that reviews and game scores actually capture what makes a good game?
No, not at all. I
Okay,
think
say more about that.
I think I think that reviews are bullshit and gamer scores are also bullshit. When I say that, mind you, there are some that are actually valid. Don't get me wrong, but you're if you're basing how you view a game off of people who got copies of it for free um, and or are getting paid to give it a good review. Some critics get paid more to
Mhm.
write more favorably for video games, um, versus also a lot of the times, if you're looking at, let's say, a Steam game or a game from the Xbox store, and you're looking at user reviews, some of these people are giving it 1 star because they can't figure out how to get past the start menu. You know, like you're not you have to be able to filter out like the people who are just, pardon my language, people, but the people who are just dick riding the game developers, and also people who are just not able to, like the one reviewer from Cuphead who couldn't figure out how to jump and dash and was stuck for his entire time that he played it, just in a tiny little corner. Do you remember that?
I think I do vaguely, yeah.
Yeah. The reviewer gave it a very low score because he couldn't get past the tutorial, and there was a video that actually released of him playing the tutorial, and it was, hold on. I'm going to pull this up real quick while I'm talking about this, but um
Yeah.
it is it's just you can't go off of reviews solely. You have to go off of your own personal vibes. If you're just going to go off of what the reviews say, you won't end up playing half the games out there that you'll end up missing and actually finding out they're really good games. Like there are some very underrated gems out there that people will crap on. Like the critics will give an absolute terrible score, but the actual user reviews are so much higher. Like that's why Metacritic, those reviews, if you're going off of just the actual people who review it, like the early access people, um, you'll end up missing a lot of games that the actual gaming community as a whole find that they love it much more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. Huh.
Um, let me, okay, Cuphead uh, review, can't get past tutorial. So this is a full 2-minute video. I'm gonna just post this directly into our general, but
Okay.
this man is, it's so stupid watching him struggle so hard, even in the first couple seconds. Just I don't know if I want to post a link to this in the actual description, but
Oh, this is painful to watch. I'm gonna watch that later.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's,
So
oh boy.
for listeners, in the first 7 seconds of this video, in the Cuphead intro, like in the tutorial, it teaches you how to jump up onto a ledge, and then it teaches you that you need to jump and dash, and there's a higher ledge with it that's uh in that dash amount of range. So this man, what he does is he jumps up onto the first block and then he jumps, but he doesn't dash until after he's already past the height where he could reach that. And instead of trying to jump back up on the previous block to get over the top of it, he sits in between these two pillars and is just jump dashing into the side of the wall, unable to progress. And this man gave the review of, I believe, a 2 out of 10 because he couldn't get past the uh the tutorial. So this is what
Oh.
I mean by like you can't go off of reviews. There are people out here in the world who are like this.
You're kinda owning this guy right now. Oh my gosh.
I mean, so to be fair, he's given poor reviews about video games solely just because he didn't like one aspect of it. Like, um, there was one that I saw the other day that was like a massive game of the year game that he gave a poor review solely because he didn't understand that it was a like he went in expecting a completely different game, but the what the game was based off of was, like, basically in the title. Like, he thought it was gonna be this whole big thing, but in reality, it was just this very tiny niche genre. Let me see. Cuphead reviewer stuck on tutorial. I'm gonna call you out, sir. Dean Takahashi
Oh no.
posted, yeah, in 2017, GameSpeed journalist Dean Takahashi posted a 26-minute video of failing to complete the Cuphead tutorial. So this is a 2 minute and 21-second video that I posted into our Discord.
Yeah.
This man spent 26 whole minutes being unable to get past the tutorial, and not once did he think, "Hey, should I jump back up on that block?"
Dean, go back to preschool.
And people thought it was a joke, but this man literally gave a he gave a very, let's see. What score did he give? So, let's see. Um so he it says he later clarified he was not a dedicated reviewer for the game. However, he did give a review at one point saying that it was a very poor game because he couldn't get past it. But um it says that the video, which showed him taking over 26 minutes to navigate the early stages, was a preview, not a final review. However, in his preview alone, he gave it a very poor score.
Okay.
Um, but
Hmm.
just how do you uh how do you suck that bad?
Do we know what like review company he was from?
Venture Beat,
Okay.
or Games Beat, as
Never
they're
heard of
called,
her.
I believe now. Yeah. Um, so in let's see, very early on in his career, I actually have a list of some of his reviews.
Oh boy.
So, uh, so let's see. Um, it says he early in his career, he wrote a negative review of Mass Effect, calling it Mass Defect.
Oh
He
no.
late he later apologized, admitting he failed to understand the game's mechanics. Um, he also, in 2020, when Doom Eternal came out, he
Yeah.
struggled with the gameplay and gave it a poor review, um, because he couldn't figure out the gameplay mechanics once again. Then, of course, there's the infamous Cuphead one. Um, let's see. Have I made my point pretty clear though?
I think so, yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I don't put a lot of stock in reviews just because there's always going to be nuance with games. There's always going to be preferences when it comes to things like that. You know, a lot of people
Mhm.
argue that in a way there are games are like interactive art, you know, and much like regular art, it's subjective, you know. So
Yeah.
I think that's worth considering whenever
It,
you're trying to pick out your next game.
it's very, very, it's very based on the people that, or it's based on you and your own preferences. There are games out there that have, a 2.5-star rating that I would give a 10 out of 10. They are
Yeah,
like, they're good. It's just, you know, they might not be everybody's cup of tea. They might have gone in expecting a totally different genre or totally different gameplay system. There are games that I own that I fully expected to love based on trailers and stuff, and then I picked it up and they ended up being, um, one of my least favorite genres, which I'm sorry to say for everyone listening, but I don't like turn-based games.
At all?
I Not really. I mean, I enjoy some of them. Like Expedition 33 is one of the very few exceptions. But like I can't play and enjoy the old like Final Fantasy games because it's just not my wheelhouse. Undertale,
Okay.
I love watching people play, but I couldn't play it myself, or I haven't been able to finish it myself because it's just I don't care for that. I like the idea of being able to give mercy to these like the pacifist run. I like that idea of the mechanic, but having a confined box to you know, do the action in and like it being a turn-based gameplay, I'm like I can't fully get into it.
Is that why you're not too big on
Um
Pokemon?
it's I loved Pokemon as a kid, but I think I got burnt out past the second generation because of that.
Mm,
I think I prefer my games action heavy. I think I prefer them um like where I'm not having to stop and actually think about my decisions. Like if I pick the wrong move here, I'm going to kill this, my player. Like
okay.
it's I don't know. I do enjoy them, but I would not consider them my favorite. I'll clarify that.
No,
I'm not a
that's
fan of it.
understandable.
I'm not a fan of it, but I'm not like not a fan of it. I'm kind
Yeah.
of middle of the road. But there's a game. I'm trying to remember what the game was off the top of my head. I think it's like Cyber Key or Key Locker or something like that. It's a cyberpunk-esque game. I'm actually trying to pull it up on my Xbox right now. Um, see, it is uh I'm not finding it. But it's like this cyberpunk looking game. It's very cool. In the trailers it looked very uh interesting, but
Mm,
when I actually like picked it up, it's a top down um uh uh uh, uh, turn-based gameplay, and I'm like it's not my cup of tea,
okay. Yeah, I got you.
unfortunately.
Huh.
uh but yeah.
No, that's
What-
valid. I think,
ooh,
did you find it?
no, but I had a game that I thought of while I was looking for it. Um so going back to music being a very big um like a very big piece of games and stuff. Um, what do you think of games that are solely based on like uh uh the music in the background, like games that actually have the gameplay tied in with the music? Like
Ooh.
um is it Metal Helldiver and like uh I think it's BPM, bullets per minute, where
Yeah.
you actually have to like time your gameplay with um the actual music of it itself.
Yeah, I really like so first of all, rhythm games I think are awesome. I
Mhm.
love games like that. Like I really liked Parappa and
Parappa the Rappa.
yeah, and there's a game coming out that's just like that. It's called Scratch and Melody. It's still in development, but
Ooh.
same sort of gameplay where you have to line up button combinations and the characters will sing and like make music based on
Mhm.
that. Um, there's also games like so Mario Wonder actually had parts of it where you had to jump to the beat of the background music, and that
Yep.
would elevate you in the level more.
I
Which was
remember
cool.
seeing
I think
that.
that was like a small piece of it that kind of carries that same energy.
Another one that I thought of, this is the one that I was looking for, is, at least when this came to mind, Hi-Fi Rush.
Yes. Oh yes.
Very good game. Or,
Absolutely.
like, even back in the day playing on the DS, I remember the one game that I ever got to play for the DS was EBA, Elite Beat Agents.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Um, yeah, you had a whole bunch of different songs that were it was very much like, I forget what the game's called now, but it's like the one where you have to tap all the button or tap all the spots on the screen to follow the beat of the song. Starts with an
Oh,
O.
I don't know, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So it was very much that game where you had to tap the screen to the beat of the song, and follow like certain points with your DS stick. What's the thingy I'm thinking of? I can't remember
Stick.
words, good guys. The little the pen, the little thingy.
Oh, stylus.
Stylus. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was close. Stick,
Stick.
stylus. Yeah, the DS stick. Um, but they had so many good songs in there, and that's where I found some of my favorite songs. Like I didn't know the song "The Anthem" by Good Charlotte until I played that game. It
Okay.
like Good Charlotte was not like I listened to that kind of music, but I hadn't fully found myself into the world of Good Charlotte until I played the actual like the anthem that they had. Um, they had a version of it in that game, but music it's a very very important to games. Sorry, that just came to mind last minute.
No, no, that's good. That's good. Yeah, Coda. I think we really encapsulated what a really good game has. So I appreciate you
Yeah.
having this discussion.
Oh, absolutely. Last thing before we do our little sign off, is there a game that you would recommend to people out there that you would consider based on your what makes a game a good game? Is there a game that you could recommend to somebody that fills your quota?
Hmm. That's a good question. I, I recently I took one of those. There was like a rating thing that's going around for different games where it
Hmm.
outlines like what's your favorite game? What game do you like for the story? What game do you think everybody should play? Um,
Hmm.
I this is such like an off pick, but there's a game called Beastie Bay. I think it started as a mobile game, but it combines Zoo Tycoon with Pokemon, and it is awesome.
I love that. Is that the one that I've been seeing recently where you can make the animal noises yourself?
No, 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 no. This is one where
Oh,
like you're like you're stranded on an island with your pet who is like your first Pokemon or like animal that you can start capitalizing on. And you go
okay.
around to the different spaces of the island. You can eventually go to different islands and like throw baits at these different monsters and they'll join your party and you can put them on the island. You can build like zoo enclosures for them. It's really interesting for what started as a mobile game. It's like it's pretty robust.
I
I would
love that.
recommend everybody try it.
I love that. I will have to try that.
Yeah.
In a similar vein for that, well, we'll do a quick three. So, my first answer is I will never properly recommend a game because everyone has different opinions. Sorry, that might feel like a trap based on just asking you that question. But as much as I say I recommend games, don't take my word for it. Games are always, based on how you feel about it, as we just got done talking about. So some games you might like that I don't like. Some games I might like that you don't like. So
Yeah.
take everything that we say with a grain of salt. But if you are going to listen to what we have to say, which you're listening to our podcast, so I would assume maybe you do. But
Yeah.
in a similar vein to Beastie Bay, uh, Cassette Beasts. Fantastic game, I love it. It's one of the very few turn-based games that I enjoy. It's basically Pokemon, except for you have cassettes that you capture your Pokemon in. And instead of having Pokemon that you throw out, you become the Pokemon itself. It's a very cool
Ooh.
game. I love it. I love it so
Okay.
much. You land on this island, have no idea how you got there, very similar to the Legend of Zelda game that I love. Which I'm not going to say the name because I will get it wrong as last episode showed. Um
Come
so
on.
the Link's Awakening?
Yeah.
There we
You
go.
did it. You did it, Koda.
I'm so proud of myself. But you wake up stranded on this island, don't know how you got there, but there's a whole civilization of people that have been there they land from different points of time, so they're different centuries, different eras. And so you you're exploring through what looks like it used to be an old version of Earth that just kind of crumbled, but um you you collect these different Pokemon or beasts as they call them, and you capture them in these cassette tapes, and then you can then use those cassette tapes to become those beasts and fight other ones, and it's a very cool game. I love it. And then the last one that I've been harping on this entire episode is Cyberpunk 2077. I If you can play it, uh, if you can get a chance to play it and you like action RPGs, definitely pick it up. I would say pick it up on PC over on a console, solely because the modding community has made so many different advancements to that game, have added so many cool things to it that you could be playing an entirely different game than what it first came out as versus what it is now even. There's new mods out there where you can have different apartments that you couldn't even get into in the base game. People have fully unlocked areas that kind of got abandoned due to them not having the resources to make it. There's areas in the game that were blocked off, like a full. There was supposed to be a full luxury apartment with like an infinity pool to it. On the uh uh, western side of the map near where I can't remember his name, but one of the guys from Samurai, the bassist that you can actually talk to in the game, um, near his whole area of town, um, that got completely scrapped due to time. That people
Mm.
have painstakingly, made mods to bring that part of the world to life. It's a very good game. Very good overarching story. I love it so much.
Yeah, I
Beautiful.
know. I want to try it.
Definitely. Definitely need to. Um, but that being said, do you want me to do the intro or outro, or do you want to do the outro?
Please do it. I never remember the socials.
All right. So, thank you guys so much for listening. You can find us on both Spotify and YouTube at Scuffed AF Pod. You can find both me and Cupic on Blue Sky. I'm at Retro Koda with a zero for the first O in that. I need to find a better way to word that. And then you can find him at the Cubic Guru. You can also find us on Twitch at the same names. Um, and yeah, thank you guys always for listening, and we'll see you next time. Okay, bye.
Goodbye. 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 Goodbye.
Goodbye.